Does Drake give more than he takes from the culture? Why or why not? It's funny you asked this question, my friend. The answer is actually also the answer to why Drake can never win this war against Kendrick Lamar, Future, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, ASAP Rocky, the entire hip hop industry. Because it is hip hop versus Drake. Let's start from here, right? I've always made the joke that Drake was destined for greatness because he is half black and he's half Jewish. He's got the best of both worlds. He's got the rhythm, the soul, the funk, and the ability to say nigga, and he's got the white Zionist zeitgeist. I mean, cabal, whatever you want to believe that you believe, Drake is Jewish. And not just kind of Jewish, but like ethnically, culturally, traditionally, biblically Jewish, right? He has a white Jewish mother whom he grew up with, whom he was raised by, whom he cherishes so deeply. We should all cherish our mothers. And also a white Jewish uncle. I presume he's Jewish since he's Drake's mom's brother. But because of all of that, that means that Drake has the best of both worlds. He has all the connections, all the money, and he's got the right to say nigga, which, as we know, is very, very cool. It's a very, very cool thing to do. So it's what every white rapper dreams of. It's the only thing Eminem was missing to be better than Jay-Z, honestly. If Eminem could say nigga, maybe we would see him as the undisputable GOAT rapper of all time. But because he can't, nonetheless. So, and it's funny that all of Drake's success makes us forget these points, right? It's like the framing of how Drake is makes us automatically assume that he's black. But on first appearances, he could pass as anything. In fact, if you look at the other ethnicities that he's been able to capitalize off of, it shows you exactly how much he's been able to take from other countries and how much he's able to take from hip hop. In point, Dominican Drake, El Drake. He's able to do the songs with Bad Bunny, all these Latin songs. He's even speaking in Spanish. Would you let Ja Rule do something like that? Would you really? Without joking on him? They let him act like he's Arabian with the hookah and the Saudi Arabians. And he plays into that into his lyrics too. He uses that to sell tickets. So, what is to make us think that he'll do it to the Dominicans? He'll do it to the Arabians. He'll do it to Jewish people, but he wouldn't do it to black people? Come on. We really got to think about where Drake came from. It's right in front of our faces, yo. He came from Degrassi, teen Nickelodeon. He's a child star. He's not this mob-ties dude until he met Future and Rick Ross and all French Montana and all these other guys that helped give him the cultural leverage that he needed to be able to start making braggadocious and threatening raps. It's the reason why he was able to win that battle against Meek Mill and then somehow solidify his own street cred from that. And that's cool, that's all well and good, but when you then bite the hand that sort of feeds you with the cease and desist letters stopping French Montana from getting his bread, and who knows whatever else that's happening there. I mean, I think Joe Budden's hinting at some stuff that Drake might own the publishing of some of the UMG's top artists, some of the top artists in the game. I don't know. It's rumors, but it would make sense to me. It would make sense to me that the only reason why Drake was able to negotiate another major label deal being the top artist, because why would you do that? You could make so much money independent when you're Drake, is if you could make more money than you could touch yourself. If your hand could dip into other artists' pockets too. Maybe not through UMG, maybe as being a private investor to another company, but that's not for me to say. That's just all rumors, isn't it? I think the impact of Ross's record, which I think was absolutely phenomenal, just goes to show you that Drake can't win this war. I mean, Ross is a super heavyweight, and as you know, anybody that boxes, if you fight a super heavyweight, those jabs hurt more than the average jab. I think he reflects that in one of his lines too. Till you get hit with my official jab. Man, Rick Ross is just classic hip hop, traditional, old school, old world type beef that Drake is not ready for. Drake is not ready to be called out on being a white boy, being a culture vulture, being someone that sculpts his body and sculpts his appearance to fit the environment that he's in and capitalize off of it. It's no wonder why he doesn't speak about issues like Black Lives Matter or Israel Palestine, especially even as a Jewish person, because he doesn't want to alienate his possible monetary incomes. Drake is a taker, not a giver. Kendrick knows that, and that's why he's upset, and that's why he doesn't deal with the phonies. It's in his DNA to be the real king of hip hop. And I hope you take it. What makes an artist authentic? That's a really good question. Because why be mad at Drake about any of this in the first place? If it's true, if he has such evil, malicious intent and purposefully wants to just steal from the greatest source of culture that there is, Black Americans, why? Why is it a bad thing that he does this? Well, because it's part of the transaction, right? We give this love and adulation to stars, to superstars. We give $250 of our hard-earned money. In fact, Drake quotes this a lot in his tour. I never forget that you guys spend all this money to come see little old me. That's guilt talking, the fact that he brings it up all the time. I don't know. That's just me saying that. But yeah, we put up posters. We model our personalities behind these people. We look at them and say that their stature, the way that they have been able to ascend in society, is the reason that they're a good people. So I can, if I want to be successful like that, if I follow the decisions and the personalities and the POV that Drake has, then maybe I can be a good person. The decisions Drake makes perpetuates through society, and it amplifies and it echoes and it has a ripple effect, and more people make decisions like it. So it's a responsibility for Drake. If you're heavy as the head that wears the crown, if you're going to have a big house like that, if you're going to command such land, you need to be able to cultivate the grass from it, and you need to make sure the fruits of your labor sow wonderful seeds of new growth for others. So that's why it's important to be authentic, because people follow you. And when people are looking at crazy things happening in the world, like innocent men, women, and children being bombed and pushed out of their homes, they need to look at their neighbor, they need to look at their friend, and they need to be able to say, hey, did you this is wild, right? Yeah, we need to end this. This needs to stop. So Drake, your voice is very powerful, and you're using it to talk about rich baby daddies and like drunk sex. And yeah, I could probably talk about other artists doing that. Rick Ross is a coke dealer, or presumably wants and markets himself as that. Future is this billionaire bachelor dude who probably can never settle down. But you know what? They're allowed to do that. I do not care. They're authentically black people that came from the bottom, that had no presumably other conduits to become successful. So they found a way to do it, marketing shit like that everyone eats up. So they're allowed to do that. Drake, on the other hand, is not allowed to do that, because he could have just stayed in TV as he was. He could have just stayed in TV when he was 14. He could have just coasted on his white privilege, his whatever connections, his ambition, his artistry, everything else that is very true to what he's built, and also things that God has been able to give him. That's fine. But if black people want to get anywhere, we need to accept double standards for ourselves. We need to cheat to win, because they cheated to make us lose. So that's the truth of it, and that's authentic. And so is Kendrick. He'll say the same thing to you. How do you see Drake's fall from grace happening? Well, it's timely, right? It's like full circle, because at the beginning of his career, the old regime, the old Reich, old school hip hop tried to tell us all this. This is an outsider. What is this soft music? Who is this guy? It was us The young people, the late Gen Z millennial folks that were like, nah, this is artistry. We want to hear something different. People could sing. Don't pigeonhole us. We were defending him. And in Thank Me Later, it worked. And Take Care, it worked. And then Nothing This Was the Same. We looked so smart. I mean, we were able to get Wu-Tang to clear a sample for Drake. That was a big cosign. Was it a cosign though, or does money talk? I don't know. I think money talks. What else? And as his career kept going, I mean, as music started to change and people wanted to go somewhere else, his music stayed the same, and when it stayed the same, he had to latch on to other people like he did early in his career to get that street cred that he needed. Later on in his career, he just started going way off, and the Bad Bunnies and the City Girl and things that were just way off from where he started, just to appease the masses. And these masses are young, conscious, aware, educated, and they care. They care about George Floyd. They care about Trayvon Martin. They care about police brutality. They care about wealth inequality. They care about all this stuff. So in 2020, when we were all sitting home and questioning why Drake didn't do anything, that is the reason why we have anything on record of Drake donating money, signing petitions, or anything of that sort. It's because we bullied him into doing that. And if there's anything Drake does, is it's read the internet comments. That we know for sure. If there's anything that he does, is it's read internet comments. So it's the perfect storm of his dedicated audience growing and demanding more from their leaders, and the curtains pulling themselves back, and we're able to see throughout years and just one, becoming exhausted by his music, two, hearing that a lot of his music he probably doesn't 100% write himself, three, seeing him visibly and loudly quiet to issues that really matter to us, and four, now even his own class, his own elitist class turning on him because he's ascended to a level maybe where he's become out of touch with them and he's not doing right by them. It goes to show you that the fall from grace is like the ice caps melting. Like, the world is getting hotter and it's just bound to happen. It was going to happen to him. Let's see, what do we have here? All right, one more. Actually, that was it. So for all, I don't know how this will get edited. Maybe it won't. I actually probably won't, because shit's about being authentic, right? I want Drake to know that, so I should live by it. And in a real moment of honesty, if I could show some personality with you, here's the trajectory. I identified these things, everything that I said in this video, and I thought, man, Drake is so bad. And then I do as I normally do, and I played devil's advocate to an argument. And I said, well, what if he's just innocently really trying to give to hip hop, and he can't help, he didn't make these decisions. He didn't choose to be Jewish. He didn't choose to be culturally ambiguous, ethnically ambiguous, but he did choose to put on the people that he's put on. If you want to call it that. And so where I ended up was that, just like UFC, just like the NFL, just like buying McDonald's or Starbucks, streaming Drake's music is a matter of ethical consumption. And is there any ethical consumption under capitalism? If we're engaging and interacting and transacting with these things that perpetuate the evils of the world, that don't try and fight and go above the evils of the world and try and create a new world and a new pattern and a new way of being, are we complicit in it? Are we victims of it? Or are we accelerators? Or are we enablers? And if you can find my Twitter at Fully Live P, you'll see that like I was really like critical of Mos Def. I called him a dinosaur and all this because a couple weeks ago a couple months ago he was critical of Drake for all these things, but he was right. I mean, he's wrong too in a lot of ways because he sits there wearing Rick Owens and all these fancy clothes. But here's why Kendrick wins. Because whatever you can say about Drake, yeah, sure, you could probably say it about Kendrick. But Kendrick says it about Kendrick. He puts it in his music. He questions himself. He says he's not your savior, but he still tries to be a role model in the end anyway. He doesn't read the comments and he doesn't play by these rules. So Kendrick's going to drop for sure. He'll respond when he's ready and it'll shake the world. It'll be right and it'll be authentic. Even if it's wrong. Sorry, Drake. I love you. You make good music, but you need to be a good person. Actually, P.S. postscript, because I thought of a better line. Sorry, Drake. You make good music. You're pretty cool, but you can't win this battle. Because how you gonna win if you ain't right within? Thanks for watching.